Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, like so many people in this country, I am so outraged by the fact that Republicans have refused to lift a finger to save so many families from the skyrocketing health care premiums all year long. I voted no on last night's vote because I believe we do need to address health care costs before we move forward. There is simply no time left to kick the can down the road when it comes to saving the ACA tax credits. We are already 10 days into enrollment, yet we have Republicans saying, why should we stop premiums from skyrocketing when we never really wanted lower premiums in the first place? We have Republicans talking about going back to the good old days of high-risk pools, which meant people with cancer could not get health insurance. We have Speaker Johnson bragging that Republicans strengthened health care by making the biggest cut to Medicaid in history. That's like saying you strengthened a ship by throwing the passengers overboard. And when Democrats offered a clean, one-year extension of the tax credit, which is truly the most straightforward and common sense thing we can do for people facing gigantic premiums hikes this year, Republicans said never, ever, ever, ever. They called it, quote, political terrorism. And to really put a fine point on it, they fired up the old bad ideas machine to try and find a new way to repeal the ACA. Republicans have gone from saying nothing about health care costs all year long to saying later, 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 even after we are over a week into open enrollment and wasting every bit of time we had for real negotiations. Then, incredibly, Republicans started saying, let's scrap the Affordable Care Act altogether. Let's end protections for pre-existing conditions. By refusing to work with Democrats on a solution before open enrollment started, Republicans have already pushed millions of Americans off the health care cliff. The only question was and is, could we throw them a rope back up? Could Congress get something done and stem some of the bleeding Republicans already caused? Yes, by passing a clean one-year extension of the ACA tax credits. But right away, Republicans said they wouldn't even consider it. I believe that we should keep pressing on that fight, as time is of the essence and the clock has nearly run out. The reality is there is a point where it will be too late to make a meaningful difference on the health care premiums. And I don't believe there's some magical date set in stone, but Mr. President, that's coming up pretty fast. It's pretty much now or never, and Republicans are essentially saying never to stopping the worst of the mega health care hike. Now, here's the important thing. This fight is not over. Far from it. Because I and many of us have no intention of letting Republicans off the hook. No one should doubt for a single second who is to blame for the skyrocketing health care costs, Republicans and Republicans alone. When families across America are paying the price that they will see for Republican inaction every month, I'll make sure every single one of them remembers the same Republicans who did everything in their power to make tax breaks for billionaires permanent, refused to even negotiate 1 year of health care tax credits for working families at a tiny fraction of the cost. Unfortunately, here we are, and it seems clear Republicans are feeling no urgency to act on health care before it's too late, even a quick, simple extension to help families. But, Mr. President, I want to be clear. While I cannot vote for this overall deal today, not when we still need to address health care, I do absolutely support the appropriation bills and CR that we will move forward, which do take meaningful steps to reject drastic cuts and extreme policies pushed by both Trump and House Republicans, and make sure that Congress, not Trump, is in charge of federal spending. It is important that Democrats were at the table on the CR and our first 3 funding bills, and used our spot at that table to fight for hardworking families in America. The difference is clear in the sharp contrast between the bills that were released yesterday and the bills written by the House Republicans and the budget put forward by President Trump. In our bills, Democrats were able to secure real wins for folks back home and fight off painless, senseless cuts and extreme policy. On the CR, we made sure to protect federal workers, both by ensuring that they receive back pay they are owed, something that has been debated extensively, and by reversing the punitive rifts done by this administration during the administration and blocking them from doing more this year. In the agricultural appropriations bill, while Trump and House Republicans fought to make steep cuts to WIC that would have seriously cut benefits for millions of women and kids, we successfully fought together to keep WIC fully funded. This bill ensures that 7 million moms and babies will get the full nutrition benefits they rely on. We also sustained key investments in our rural communities. Because we rejected a Trump funding takeover, we protected housing support in rural communities and vital agricultural research happening across the country, including in my home state of Washington at WSU. We stopped Trump from blowing a truly massive hole in FDA's budget, which would have slowed drug approvals and seriously endangered our food supply. None of this is inconsequential. All of this matters. And I want to thank Chair Hoeven and Ranking Member Shaheen for all of their good work on that vital bill for our communities. In the military construction and Veterans Affairs bills, we were able to secure funding to make sure we're taking care of our veterans and our service members, and ensure that this administration keeps its promises to our veterans by ensuring staffing of critical services such as the crisis hotline centers. I want to thank Chair Bozeman and Ranking Member Ossoff for all their good work on this critical bill for our veterans and service members. And lastly, on the legislative branch bill, which is the smallest bill, it covers the important needs of this institution, from protecting GAO and CBO, the architect of the Capitol, our Capitol Police and other agencies that actually make this place work, to make sure our offices have what they need to take care of our constituents and keep our campus safe. We should all appreciate the hard work that went into completing that bill, and I want to thank Chair Mullen and Ranking Member Heinrich for all their work on that important bill and the critical matters within it to every senator in this chamber. Now, obviously, those are not the bills I would have written on my own. I have concerns we were not able to address in these bills, and Republicans were not open to some of them, but I still want to do more, Mr. President, when it comes to delivering critical investments for our communities and our country, and I will, as always, keep pushing my colleagues every day. But we did secure real wins for folks back home when Democrats and Republicans were able to sit down at the table together on funding, and they are immeasurably better than Trump and vote holding the pen, which is what the slush fund CR that we have been operating on this year has allowed. I'm proud of what we have been able to negotiate to protect key programs families and communities rely on, and protect our authority as lawmakers who are here to be a voice for our constituents. I want to emphasize that I really appreciate the work of my counterpart, the senior senator from Maine, Susan Collins, who's done incredible work on all these bills. I want to thank our subcommittee chairs and ranking members and all of our staff who worked hard to put these bills together. And I want to make clear I deeply appreciate the partnership of my colleagues on the Senate Appropriations Committee who've all worked in good faith during these very difficult times and these very difficult negotiations. No matter what, these bills need to get done. And our staff put in late nights, and our chairs and ranking members held countless conversations to compromise and work towards solutions. I hope to continue building on that progress and showing what it does look like when we come together and put families before politics. I look forward to getting our next minibus up on the floor to move multiple needed bills along that we have marked up in the committee and get those to conference. And I hope we can be on that package as soon as possible. I look forward to working with the senator from Maine and working to get those final bills completed so they too can be conferenced with the House as soon as possible. And I want to thank all of our committee members and staffs for their incredible work on these critical bills. We have a lot of work ahead, and I know we can get there. Passing full-year funding bills to ensure that Congress, not Trump or Russ vote, decides how taxpayer dollars are spent. We should never turn the keys over to Trump and his cabinet secretaries, allowing them to make unilateral cuts and to shift funding around however they please. Every day, they prove in a new way how critical it is that Congress assert its authority and rein in their chaos, and I will continue to working to do that on the Appropriations Committee. But I also, Mr. President, need to continue fighting to stop the mega healthcare hike for as long as there is still time left on this clock to fix this. The reality is there is a point where it will be too late to make a meaningful difference. But until we reach that point of no return, we do have to fight tooth and nail to force Republicans to actually work with us on that issue. And because in this package, Republicans have yet to refuse to address the healthcare crisis families are facing right now, a crisis that gets work and harder to fix every single day, I will be voting no. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.